Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Pamela Ruth Rea, 1954 to 1971, a loving spirit. My sister Pamela, our sister and my parents' daughter, died on April 11th, 1971, on Cistern Key, Exumas, Bahamas. If you watch the home movie, Ray family home movie from 1971, you see her there, and yeah, she died at the end, very end of that trip. She was only sick a short time, a couple days, and we were leaving on Sunday, Easter Sunday. And we traveled by seaplane from the island to the island, from Nassau, and then back to Nassau, the capital of the Bahamas, and she was only sick for a couple days and then very sick for less than a day. And by the time it was critical, it was too late to call in the seaplane to try to get her to a hospital in Nassau. And so she died at around sunrise on Easter, April 11th, 1971. Terrible tragedy, especially for our parents and for Mark and Patricia and me, probably the least, because I was only almost 11 years old. She was 16, a couple months short of her 17th birthday. A very wonderful person. She was very kind and energetic, joyful, good sense of humor, hard worker, good spirit, good attitude, very service oriented, and yeah, real tragedy. But that's one of the realities of life: is death can come at any time, and we lost her early. But it's been more than 52 years, and now John and Ruth, our parents, are with her in heaven, and Mark as well, so everything's okay, and it does lead to the spiritual search. There was hardships for our family, especially our parents, as I said, and so God bless Pamela Ruth Rea. She didn't live long enough to really start using her middle initial, which was her middle name was Ruth. So I keep referring to her as Pamela R. Rea. We didn't really. She was referred to herself as Pam Ray. When you're young, you often don't use your middle initial, but when you get older, maybe you do. So God bless Pamela Ruth Rea, my wonderful sister. Yeah, she was a good student, played the cello, and I remember very well. Very creative, interested in new ideas, and it was a terrible loss because she had she was the most lively one in our family. And anyway, so it's been a long time. Now, I created actually back when I started early, when I was doing my family history work, I had a Zook family history, Zook Family Memories collection, number 5, which I produced on March 3rd, 1988, called Mark Doran Ray, Pamela Ruth Rea, and Friends Selected Creative Writing. And so that's what I'm going to read now. This includes poems from Mark and Pam and their friends, Chip Richmond and Holly Dreger, who were with us in the Bahamas when Pam died. And these were published in the Driftwood, the poetry magazine of the students, in 1971. The year Pam died and when Mark was a senior in high school. The first poem is from Mark, called Pathos, Mark Ray. Evolving to a tragic flawlessness, soul's stature stooped. This is modern man. While intact in the residue of an eon's churning, love now struggles not to fall through the omnipotent sieve. And another poem by Mark Ray, my brother. The Eye of the Red Sea. The sun shines patiently on this light skiff, and on my forehead paled against the light. We rise and fall together with the sea, on swells, dilations of this pool of black. I try to peer into opaqueness steeped. Dusk quails, night breaks, my fevered gaze contracts. As fading forms descend on reddened coral, myopic vision grows and seas repart. A multitude of fallen stickmen lie in groups of tattered misfits. Is he dead? They clamber toward him, blind men by the sea, and crush each other in their frenzied rush. Among the nests of severed nerves he hangs, enduring sight both Damocles and sword. And this is next poem is by our friend Chip Richmond, or given name was George. Title is Education. The spirit lies encrusted, buried deep within the folds of tentacles, grasping tighter and tighter, burrowing inward, stunting the last possibility for the stimulating bloom of intelligence. And this is a poem that Pam wrote, Pamela Rea, and it says In Memoriam, Pamela Rea, 1954 to 1971. Eclipsed. The title is Eclipsed. Eclipsed. Light green grass powders the snow, and a circle of needles gone dry. The coils of boughs wind slowly up, arching away to the sky. The trunk shoots up immediately, straight and solid and strong. The snow only accents, the sleet only vibrates, the wind only hears its own song. Yet young slender saplings that grow at its base choke from the richness in soil. They break in their arching, snap in their strength, convulsive caprice of the snow, sleet, and wind. And here's a poem by Mark Ray, titled Easter Morn Hails My Sister Pamela. Your silent coldness, crumbled walls of sand, nature's beauty binds my grief. And here's a poem from Holly Dreger, Pamela's very good friend. Gratitude. During the course of one every day, I discovered amongst the glittering cheesy grins a genuine smile. Reaching out cautiously, I touch until the bond between two gradually merge, leaving only one. Looking upon the now empty shell, suddenly humbled, I, smiling, accept the final overwhelming gift. Thank you. Here's a poem by Mark Ray. When raisins are really just sour grapes. I used to know a lot of things, like the 3 metaphysical necessities, or how to give a knowing look. That I was really a superstar and nobody knew but me. I thrived in a deceptive haze of philosophical reruns, while the fruits of youth spoiled sour in my arms. Here's a poem that Pam wrote by Pamela Ruth Rea. The title is Gulls Far Away. Gulls far away. This is like seagulls. The gull swung low, it glided under, swooping. A river meandered and dawdled in the valley, stagnant with beer cans, and little green bacillus, globulated yet marinated, through into streamlets. High above on a dusty bridge, proud of its mane and structure, its tendons reach into the valley like a desperate octopus. The canyon opened with riveted cliffs into a tree-studded gorge on the face of the earth. The gulls glided away far above. And there's another poem by Pamela Ruth Rea. Shutters with flutters. Curls and frills and lacy white flutters all adorn a house with shutters. With snow and glitter and sunlight upon it, it lives and is and shall be forever, spring. Then gurgling muck all icky and sticky and gooey and gummy and sappy and bubbly and green. Slender shoots spring up and surround it. Then it becomes and is the shutters with flutters, spring open and are open. The snow with the glitter will flitter away, then muck will dry and harden, and crack and be scorched and dry and die. Then summer, no chills or spills or thrills or mud will be, just glazoned and brazened heat. All humid and languid and liquid and hot, it's there. The houses will crack and splinter and bleach and be, and then fall, all drooping and dropping and falling and leafy, afire with reels and reams and streams of color. And there's another poem by Pamela Ruth Rea. The title is The Lagoon. The lagoon, not quiet or silent or dead, it was crammed full of life, vibrating through its very pores, whirs, stirs, buzzings, flappings, soldered on, together with life, the thin, soggy cypresses sprawling in the muck, towering tops over cowering bottoms oozing in, with and by life, swampy marsh grass, dappled with dragonflies, flitting like fireflies, running like rabbits away, leathery lily pads, lazily sucking lagoon, water down through snarled and tangled roots to life, the rock with the fossil print never upturned, a leaf with the sun's stamp, never again, never again, never. And this is a poem that Pamela wrote for English class, February 1970. The title is Accent on Beauty. Accent on beauty. The world is becoming a bus stop. Nobody cares what they write on the walls or what they engrave in the seat. It's only another stopping point between here and there. Who cares if there are large rock holes which let the rain in? My goodness, another cigarette butt or carton couldn't possibly be noticed among all that rubble. Beer cans, gum wrappers, shoelaces, and sewer gas. At least we don't have to smell the exhaust from the bus because we'll be inside before we can smell it. It's just another bus stop. Too often, thinking like this leads not only to ignorance and further decline into pollution and other problems, but obliterates a sense of beauty. If we cannot realize the ugly, then how can we see the beauty? But this is more accurate. How can we see the ugly if we cannot compare it to the awesome? As in all realizations or comparisons, we need a standard, somewhere to put our goals or ideals. In a time and place where there is so much corruption, pollution, and ugliness, we will never know the full extent of it unless we have breathed clean air. We must watch and observe nature's cycle to see the changes that have been made that alter and spin it. Thus we must appreciate before we can realize. But I think there is a much deeper need for an accent on beauty. It was brought out well in the book Green Mansions, the beauty of the human physique in harmony with nature. Perhaps it seemed unrealistic, but then the wonder and symmetry of nature in any form is almost incredulous. There must be an inner awakening to the cries of nature, the instinctive sense of beauty and awe. This is an intuitive need which must be met as an undefinable answer to all problems. Nature can soothe all wounds with time and excite the emotions to a culmination. Nature can still be found in some sense almost everywhere if you look hard enough. Sometimes it will be discouraging, but always somewhere joyful, serene, and blissful. We cannot always be occupied with the ugly because it is too easy to become self-centered or lost in some way. We must reach out as our ancestors did to nature, to nurture something within us which might otherwise die. Beauty must always be remembered as a necessity for life. Now we have a number of letters to the editor based on the original publication. And the first is from Patricia A. Rea, my sister. Thanks for the thing that Pam wrote. I felt like crying after reading Pam's writing. It really moved me. I still miss her. Patricia A. Rea, M.D., Durham, North Carolina. And the next letter is from Mike Duff, family friend. Your insightful literary magazine made for good reading. Mike Duff, Bath, Ohio. Now we have a letter from Tom Pirotsky, an SRF friend. Many thanks for the ZFMC. I especially enjoyed the poetry. Tom Pirotsky, Freeport, New York. And the next letter is from the former minister at St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Lakewood, Ohio, Stuart Pearson. Thanks so much for this family history. I read it with fascination. The Reverend Stuart Pearson, St. Peter's Episcopal Church, Lakewood, Ohio. And the next letter is from my dear wife, Alice G. Ray. I enjoyed so much reading Pam's creative writing about the accent on beauty. Most of her writings were highly symbolical. You really have to read within in order to understand the meaning of each line. Alicia G. Garcia, Nire, Quezon City, Philippines. And here's a relevant quote from our grandmother, our father's mother, Gertrude Zook Rea. Do we ever need faith in God so much as when tragedy strikes or when a life is snapped off unexpectedly? Faith no matter what. The deep, wordless recognition that what is must be accepted. This does not mean that God has abandoned us or intentionally brought us grief. God would never deliberately bring harm to anyone. But if it happens due to the wind or weather, lack of understanding or mistakes, then God has promises to keep, life continuing, brighter, richer, ongoing life to compensate. Gertrude Zook Rea. Now we found a poem that Pamela had written, copied in her own writing, that I think is also very relevant. It's called The Noble Nature by Ben Jonson, who lived between 1572 and 1637. The Noble Nature. It is not growing like a tree, in bulk doth make man better be, or standing long an oak 300 year, to fall a log at last, dry, bald, and sere. A lily of a day is fairer far in May, although it fall and die that night, it was the plant and flower of light. In small proportions we just beauty see, and in short measures life may perfect be. So Pamela's life was short in this incarnation, in this life. We know that she continued after in the next world, and Ruth, John, and Mark are with her, and I'll see her again at the right time. God bless Pamela Ruth Rea, my wonderful sister. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.